Hey guys, Greg here on the Vinyl Rundown. Guess what we're doing today? When you see this piece of paper, you know it means it's somebody's been to the Goodwill. And I had another bonanza today at the Goodwill. And later in this video, I will tell you how you can score big at the Goodwill, like I seem to do about once every month. That means I'm buying too many records again. Today it's compact discs. And this is a new kind of video I just invented called, that's the bag they gave me, B to V, bag to video. Put those CDs in a bag at the Goodwill, came home, didn't do anything with them. I'm going to take them out of the bag and show you one at a time exactly what I got. What happened was I walked over to the Goodwill at lunchtime from work. It's a block from my office, and saw the guy rolling out the cart. Brand new stuff, a cart full of nothing but CDs. And there was another older gentleman there who said, "What kind of CDs?" "Jazz." I thought, that's good. I like jazz. Turns out the other guy liked jazz too. So we had a little feeding frenzy between the two of us. He's at one side of the shelf. We waited for the guy to put the CDs on the shelf. It was one complete shelf of CDs and a few more. We each started at one side and we're grabbing and grabbing. Totally nice guy. We were like, you know, hey, do you have this one? Oh, you might like this one. Yeah, I already have that. You know, you can have it. I don't need that one. Very friendly, two jazz fans at the Goodwill. So I'm just going to go through these real quick. They're in the bag exactly as I found them. So I haven't really researched these. So coming up, number one, Billie Holiday. This is a collection on the Verve label, and it's called Billie Holiday as selected by Shirley Horn, the ultimate Billie Holiday. One of these re-releases, compilations, very nice packaging. You know, a lot of her famous tunes, My Man, and Strange Fruit, and God Bless This Child. Lady Sings the Blues. So I guess Verve did a bunch of these with their famous female singers, Sarah Vaughan, Ella. Gotta get through these quick, guys. There's a lot to show here. Wes Montgomery on the label of Riverside label. And Wes Montgomery, 1960. Louis Hayes on drums. A couple other guys I don't know that well. Victor Feldman. And gotta love Wes Montgomery. If you ever see Wes Montgomery for $1 or $2, I suggest grabbing it. Look at this beauty right here. Blue Bash with Jimmy Smith on organ and Kenny Burrell on guitar. And this is a nice reissue on Verve with a nice little trifold. Uh-oh, disc is falling out. Teeth are broken, so the discs are going to fall right out. Trifold, the little booklet here. Nice photography. And the type is too small. I can't read this. Who else is on here? Anyway, you guys know Kenny Burrell, I'm sure. This is going to be a reoccurring theme here. You're going to see some of the same names. The Groove Yard with the Montgomery Brothers. Now, Wes Montgomery had brothers. He had Buddy Montgomery on piano and Monk Montgomery on bass. 1961, Fantasy Studios. I'm sure that'll be a nice one. Any tunes that I know? Not really. I'm sure it's all good stuff. This is one of the gems of the pile. The dynamic duo is Jimmy Smith and Wes Montgomery. Jimmy Smith on organ, on Verve. And another one of these trifold reissues. Originally came out in, can't read it, too small, 1966. This is a well-known record. Don't think I have it on LP. Some of these I have on LP, some of them I don't. Here's a modern one with an ugly cover. Bill Evans with Eddie Gomez and Lee Konitz, the great alto sax player, and Wayne Marsh on tenor sax. This is called Bill Evans with Lee Konitz and Wayne Marsh. Yeah, that's what it's called on the Fantasy label. 1977, fairly recent because it's in the 70s. And Lee Konitz you should know is the only surviving member of the original Miles Davis Nanette that recorded Birth of the Cool in 1949-ish, so good for Lee Konitz. Okay, here's one on Blue Note, The Three Sounds, doing standards. Gene Harris on piano, Andy Simpkins on bass, Bill Dowdy on drums. Dowdy, I don't have anything by The Three Sounds, so that's my first one. Blue Note, seen their stuff on vinyl. And standard tunes, 12 tunes. 1959, Witchcraft, Crimea River, Making Whoopee. Some of your favorite standards. What else is in the bag? Here's a nice one. Bags, what's it called? Bags Meets West. Milt Jackson, also known as Bags, and Wes Montgomery on guitar. Milt Jackson, the vibes player from MJQ, Modern Jazz Quartet. Everybody knows him, I hope. Wynton Kelly on piano, Sam Jones on bass, Philly Joe Jones on drums. I'm sure that's a nice one on the Riverside label. Who else we got? How about Kenny Burrell on guitar? Classic guitar player. And this one is simply called Soul Call on the Prestige label, 1964. Rudy Van Gelder on the mixing board. Okay, here's something that's not classical. I'm sorry, it's not jazz, it is classical. And this is actually the reason I went back to the Goodwill, because 2 or 3 weeks ago, they had a giant collection of choral music, something not very popular in the vinyl community. Going back to the Renaissance, the 1500s, Palestrina, motets and masses and all that sort of stuff. This group is called the Tallis Scholars. Thomas Tallis, most famous composer of that period in England, and these guys call themselves the Tallis Scholars, very scholarly, and they just do his music. So this won a Grammy. I went back there because I bought one of these the other day, and I thought, okay, there's dozens left. I'll go back and get another one. It was pretty good. And I found this one on the Gimmel label. I guess you pronounce it Gimmel. They specialize in this sort of thing in England. You're spending too much time on the choral record, Greg. That's okay. Move it along. The Best of Stan Kenton. Stan Kenton, more of a 40s big band guy. And 1943 to 1961 on Capitol Records. I have a bunch of his records on Capitol, but they're old and chewed up and beat up. But so this will be a nice, clean way to listen to some Stan Kenton. Who's on here? Art Pepper, Lee Konitz, Bud Shank, Kay Winding on trombone. Various people that have played with Stan Kenton over the years. Not a big fan of greatest hits records, but we're talking $2 at the Goodwill. Okay, here's a nice one. Kenny Burrell on guitar and John Coltrane on the saxophone with Tommy Flanagan on piano, Jimmy Cobb, Paul Chambers. It's just called Kenny Burrell and John Coltrane on the, what label is this? Looks like Prestige, but it says New Jazz. 1958. Very nice. I like this artwork. This is a paper sculpture. Paper that has been glued and shaped to show off the light and shadows. The sculptor's name is Stylianos Giannakos. If we got any Greek sculpture experts out there. Okay, another one on the choral music style from the 1500s. This is actually one of the most famous pieces. Spem in alium. I don't know what that means. Thomas Tallis is the composer, and it's the Tallis Scholars. And what else can I tell you about this? I don't know. 1985. This is a famous piece of music. I'm not sure that you're going to recognize it, but I looked it up, and it was used in the soundtrack to 50 Shades of Grey, which I did not see and I did not read. Nor am I likely to anytime soon. Oh, here's a classic. Kenny Burrell. This is probably his most famous and best known, that's redundant, most famous record on Blue Note, perhaps? Kenny Burrell, Midnight Blue. Look at that cover. Does that look familiar? You probably recognize that Elvis Costello did a cover based on this one. Kenny Burrell, Stanley Turrentine on tenor sax. How about a year that it was recorded? I don't know. 1967, Rudy Van Gelder Studios. So this was a gem from the pile. Now the dude at the Goodwill said he didn't want this one because it's a Rudy Van Gelder edition, and supposedly those don't sound as good as some of the earlier editions, but it's $2. Okay, I'm buying it. Maybe I'll throw it in the car stereo. Another classic, Wes Montgomery, Bumpin' on Verve, 1965. And this has a large orchestration behind it. Don Sebesky arranged and conducted the orchestra. Excuse me. And this is kind of a softer, chill record. Some people have called it the first smooth jazz record. Let me show the nice trifolds on this re-release series with Verve. Kind of cool. Love Wes Montgomery. Ooh, this is a good one. Jim Hall on guitar and Bill Evans on piano, called Undercurrent, and this is on Blue Note. Let's see. I don't think you guys care about the year, 1962. So what? Love this photograph, and I think the photograph was done on the original album in more of a sepia tone and not the blue. I could be wrong. I do have the album. I seem to remember it wasn't this bright blue. I don't think this looks as good as the original LP. The original LP I don't think was even on Blue Note. Let's see. What can I tell you? Real quick. I don't know. I'm trying to get the name of the photographer. Very famous set of photos with the lady actually swimming underwater there. We're down to the last one, guys. And there's a sticker on here. Can I remove this sticker? Ooh, sticker's coming off in one. Nope, destroyed. Let me take out the insert so you can see this is called We Three. And the reason I got this is because I really like the piano player Phineas Newborn. You don't hear about him too much. I guess he didn't make that many records. Phineas Newborn on piano, Paul Chambers on bass, Roy Haynes on drums. I think Roy Haynes, is he still alive in his 90s? I think so. And this is a label I haven't seen before, New Jazz. Everything old is new again. This is from 1958. Phineas Newborn, very sort of flourishy, a lot of notes type of piano player. That's the end of the bag, but I did promise you my secret on how do you score bonanzas like this at the Goodwill. It's pretty simple. You got to go to the Goodwill often, several times a week, like I do, and you got to be lucky. So usually on Friday after work I go to 2 or 3 Goodwills that I can hit in a loop, and maybe another thrift shop. And most of the time I'm disappointed. That's okay, you live with disappointment. You go check out what they got. If they got nothing, you go home. And you do it another time next week. But it pays to be lucky, and it pays to, you gotta be lucky. Today I walked in just as the guy was wheeling in the records, or the CDs, and if I had gotten there a half hour earlier or later, I wouldn't have scored all this. So, part luck, part persistency. The Goodwill has a lot of stuff, and I love it when collections come in all together. This is less than 20% of the collection that showed up. The other guy got the other 20-ish%, and we left half of it there. Wasn't as good. So, 2 lucky guys. When am I going to listen to all this stuff? I have no idea. I better start listening to it. That's it today, guys. Thank you for watching. Let me know what you think. Let me know if any of these records are especially good. Some I haven't heard. I'll talk to you soon.